Well, hello, and welcome to the 2022 Full Bullet Journal Flip Through. Say that a few times fast. All right, we have 12 monthly bullet journal setups to get through and 2 full bullet journal setups for 2022 to talk about. Let's get started. I started the year out in a Maisie Lane Co journal. It has 160 GSM paper. I can't remember how many pages this journal has, but it easily held 6 months worth of bullet journaling, and this was my 3rd journal in a row. I love these journals, highly recommend them. You can personalize them. I put my name on the cover, and all of them have a symbol on the spine. This one, a feather. I really like to decorate the whole of my journal when it comes to my setups. I never do anything minimal because it sort of sets the tone for the year for me. These are pages I come back to over and over and over again throughout the year. So I want to make sure that it speaks to me, and this spread, or these particular spreads for this setup, were based on a book by Kobe Yamada, and I was really inspired by it. It was a children's book, and decided to base my spreads upon it. And it was basically about the possibility that all of us have. You can see that these pages have been filled up. I never got around to putting my goals in. I set them, I wrote them down on like paper, but I never got around to putting them in the journal. Even though I got all the other areas put into the journal and set up, I didn't even ink them. You kind of get started with the process, and often you just don't have time to go back and do those things, or you don't think to anyway, till you're flipping through and realize that you haven't done it. So this is my year in pictures. This is my favorite spread in my journal. It's the thing I go back to most. There's a section at the bottom to journal. It's really personal, so it's blurred out, but I feel comfortable sharing the photographs. I choose one photo from the year to represent the month, and then I journal about the month as a whole. Some of the pictures are, events, things that I went to, but some of them just evoke an emotion, and some of them are accomplishments. This one here in particular was me seeing several of my friends in Broadway's A Strange Loop. I know several of the cast members, and it's just really great to see your friends have their dreams come true. Kind of like maybe about the possibilities there are in the world. These are my pockets. If you are new here and you haven't seen a previous setup, I use those pockets to store lists that I carry from journal to journal. The January theme was stained glass. It was inspired by Louis Comfort Tiffany and the lamps that he created. I just wanted to have this sort of idea of these beautiful windows with light shining through them, and this is what I came up with for my journal. I was really pleased with how things came together. Sometimes you have an idea in your head, and when you're trying to pull it together, it doesn't quite work out. This was the opposite. Everything came together in a way that I really loved, and I did not want to leave the month of January in terms of the decoration for the spread. This is the final mood tracker. This was the mood tracker for the month of January. An article I read inspired the February bullet journal setup. It was about a woman named Alice Clark Brown, who was an early Black circus performer, and I ended up doing quite a bit of reading about early Black circus performers, and decided to do the Black History Month setup in my bullet journal honoring these performers. It featured Chibitronics. You can see here, it's a light up system that you can purchase, and these curved edges here. I think this was the first time I've actually done something like this, and I really loved it. It was very tactile. I love touching it all month, and this right here is the finished mood tracker for the month. March was a minimalist floral setup, and by a long shot the most viewed bullet journal video that I, not just for this year, but in all of the videos I've ever created. I guess you can probably hear it. I'm still shocked by this. This is probably one of the quickest and easiest setups I have done in my bullet journal. I will say it was the quickest this year for the setup, and I do love how this mood tracker turned out. I'm probably going to say that over and over. I tend to really love mood trackers, not just my own, but in general. All right, Alice in Wonderland. This was one of those spreads that has been on my list to do for a while, and I finally, had the ideas come together, and this is what I produced. It has a spiral pop-up. It's got some other types of pop-ups in here. I will say this is the spread in my 2022 bullet journal I'd love to redo. I like aspects of this spread, but there are things that I would love to, change a little bit. I think my weeklies, this was interesting because I love that stained glass effect, and I tried to recreate, or not recreate so much as give an homage to the windows in the Tim Burton film. And for whatever reason, this version of it was really sticky all month. I have no clue, because it was the same thing I did for January. These little doors, the space wasn't really large enough for my line a day, I will say. So some of the line a days are like these cryptic messages. They kind of read like maybe more like poems or anecdotes. It's kind of funny to look back on them. Ethereal Desert. See, I can say it. I can't say it. I just have to think about it. This theme was based on the Archer and Olive subscription box. And these photographs I found of these beautiful rock formations. I decided to rip paper to sort of evoke the rocks and the jaggedness and the shadows and contours and colors from those photographs. I used the acrylographs and this mood tracker. When I set it up, I had no idea that it was going to look like this, but I'm very pleased with the way that it turned out. June was a minimalist beach theme setup. This is one of those setups that I feel like something is missing. I look back at it and think something's missing. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just some washi tape along the edge. But that's the thing about it. You do the spreads. I was satisfied with them when I completed them, but for whatever reason, looking at them now, I feel like it's not my favorite. This mood tracker though, every night I was trying to improve my skills in drawing or making these realistic pearls, and it was quite the task every night trying to make one. But I think I accomplished a few that looked really great. At the back of the journal are a few much needed spreads, pen test, index, and this spread here, when did I do it, was really helpful for me. I just tracked a few things here. I actually had planned to track more things, but just tracked a few things, but still a really helpful spread for those things you need to keep track of. All right, second journal. This was an Archer and Olive plant-based bride collab journal. I love this journal. Green is my favorite color, and I was excited to give Archer and Olive a try. I get the subscription boxes. I use my Archer and Olive journals for a lot of things, but I hadn't used one for a bullet journal yet. And as you can see, this is a juicy journal. It's chock full of spreads. The second setup for my last 6 months of the year was inspired by East Asian art. This particular page was supposed to look like abalone shell. I wanted it to look like those inlaid tables that you see in East Asian culture. I spent a lot of time on this, and I was really pleased with how it all came together. I don't think you really get to see the color flip that happens when I look at it personally in my hands. But it was a lot of hard work. That's the best way to describe it. You will see that I did get my goals into my journal, but again, I didn't end up inking them. I use a pencil when I'm doing that, and because I might change my mind, and you can see that once I get it in, I often don't go back to them. This also took a while to set up. This is where my pockets for my list were, and again, just really loved it. Oh, funny story, you guys. So my bank gives me points, and I have been collecting them for really years, and I had all these points, and I decided to cash them in for an Apple gift card. I thought they were just going to send me one gift card worth the amount, but instead they sent me 18 individual gift cards. And you know what? I marched to the Apple store with my 18 gift cards, and I bought a new laptop. I was slightly embarrassed, I will admit, but you know what? Hey, gotta do what you gotta do. This was my birthday. This was going out with some friends, my dog. Oh my gosh, it's like I'm reminiscing with you guys. I dressed up for Halloween as She-Hulk. It was fun. And this is just quintessential me and Brando. That's the name of my dog, just snuggling up on the couch. It was a second half of the year, had lots of surprises. There's a picture of my friend Nick, who passed away in October. Yeah. Okay. July's theme was Quella bella sensazione, or that beautiful feeling, which basically describes how I felt opening up the July Archer and Olive subscription box. I dug in right away. I was ready to use everything in the box, and I came up with these spreads. I still love these spreads. It was based on tiles and gardens and China, basically just vacation. It was all about vacationing in some Mediterranean place. This was funny because I look back at this spread and think, oh my god, it turned out really great, but I didn't use it. I am not as busy in the summer, and it was at this point I realized, you know what, maybe you don't have to do all the things all the time, and I started pulling back a little bit. This is the mood tracker. These are supposed to be plates, as if they're hung up on the wall in someone's kitchen. This is probably my least favorite mood tracker in terms of how it looks as a final piece, but I thought it was a good idea at the time. So the August bullet journal setup was based on some Schaperreli Couture that I really was feeling and wanted to put in my bullet journal. It was by far the hardest thing I've ever put into my bullet journal, and I would not do it again. If I did it again, I would do it on a piece of fabric, embroider the fabric, and then just put it in my journal. Here's the mood tracker for the month. Really simple and straightforward, but it looks pretty cool, I think, completed. September was a back to school setup, and I was so excited to do this. But first, a little ASMR. I don't know why I enjoy that so much, but I did the whole month. Yes, I put an entire Trapper Keeper in my bullet journal. This was actually really simple to do and a lot of fun. 80s throwback. I dug full in with these Garbage Pail Kids. I used markers that actually smell, scratch and sniff, stickers, doodles. I doodled Garfield like constantly. This was so much fun. Using the puffy stickers all month. The tabs, creating this folder. I'm still using this folder and contemplating adding a couple of these at the back of my current bullet journal to hold things. I found it was so much more convenient than the pocket. Okay, this Pac-Man setup. it was a lot of fun setting this up. The ghosts were a bad day. There weren't too many bad days in September. I'll take it. And this was by far my favorite setup of the year. October is my spooky theme, Moonlit Garden. I wanted it to have a glowing moon, and I wanted it to feature things that are both beautiful and creepy. I made the moth wings with florals that were pressed. We got a floral pressed in the Archer and Olive subscription box. I used that. This Kanban board here was really useful, and I plan on putting one at the back of my current journal. It's a wipe off board, so instead of moving things around, I can just erase it and rewrite it in the area that it needs to be in. I kept using it actually even once I was done with this spread, which is why I am planning on adding it to my current bullet journal setup at the back for use. Do it. Pro tip. Very useful, especially if you have a lot of things going on at one time. So November spreads were based on a song, Migratory V, and I was playing the song over and over again. I had just found out about my friend's passing, and it was just the thing that was keeping me going, really. And I'm grateful for it. Despite its somber inspiration, I felt like the spread itself was really quite pretty. The colors I felt were pretty, the sunset colors. And I was pretty happy with it overall. Alright, the snowflake theme for December. This was really easy to do. It was minimal effort, lots of impact. It was huge, a huge thing to put in the journal, but I was really excited about opening my journal and finding it throughout the month. Phew! We made it to the end of 2022's bullet journal setups. If you made it to the end, thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. This was a great trip down memory lane. During the course of the year, I don't really look back at my spreads unless I'm looking for information. So it's really cool to do the flip. And I like doing a full year flip. It feels a little bit nostalgic, and it's just nice to see all of the creative output for the year. My favorite by far was the Trapper Keeper. I'm curious if you had a favorite. If you did, let me know in the comment section. Okay, 2022 has ended and 2023 is upon us. Let's see what it has in store. Till next time.